Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, November the 15th, 2016. Good to have you all here for our first of three, count them, three shows this week. Hope you all had a great weekend, a great start to your week here as we join you here on this Tuesday night. As always, before we get going, let me remind you all of how you can get involved with the show, interact with us, and have your voice heard. You can do so by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. If you could, please use the hashtags, hashtag itspotlight411, or you can create your own hashtag. Just make sure you start with hashtag ITS if you could. That would be wonderful. And also, please try, if you're tweeting something involving our show, try to be not disrespectful. Try not to be disrespectful or offensive. There's enough of that in today's world. We don't need to contribute to it. So if you could, please try not to do that. You can also find us on Facebook. To search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and make sure you like our page upon finding it. All right, so here we are on this Tuesday night. This is our first of three shows this week. Tonight, of course, because of what we're going to be doing on Thursday, we have a sports and entertainment combo show on tap for you tonight. So we'll cover all the major happenings in sports, which is not much because, remember, we don't do football until Friday. So not really a whole lot going on, but it'll probably just be mostly college basketball. We'll talk about that here tonight. We'll talk about what's out there that needs to be talked about, I should say, tonight. And then we'll go into entertainment. We'll do our box office beat, TV highlights, and a couple of big entertainment news topics out there that are going on, whether you submitted them or we decided that they're worth talking about. And we'll do all that here tonight. So that's the show tonight. Thursday will be an all-wrestling show previewing WWE's Survivor Series pay-per-view event, which is taking place this coming Sunday on the WWE Network. It's one of the big four WWE pay-per-views. It's obviously a big deal. So obviously it'll be a big show in that regard. We'll be previewing all the matches, making predictions, and of course, as always, taking questions and comments from the fans, and addressing as many as we can, as many as time will permit at the end of the show. So that'll be our show on Thursday night. And then Friday, of course, the In the Spotlight Football Blitz. And that right now currently scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. So that's our setup for this week. Next week, next week, of course, a holiday week, Thanksgiving week. Let me put it to you this way: if you haven't been a fan of the show for very long and you don't know what's going on, it should be fairly obvious. Obviously, we're not going to do a show on Thursday or Friday of next week, and pretty much we're not going to do a show on Wednesday of next week because people are traveling, so we're not going to do that. We tried that one year and it was an epic failure, so we're not doing that. So basically what's going to be happening is this. Next Tuesday night, we will have a show, regular time, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, our regular Tuesday night prime time. I reserve the right to change my mind on this. Okay, I'm just gonna point that out right now. Right now, the current plan is to have the In the Spotlight Football Blitz Tuesday afternoon. Okay, so that would mean we're doing two shows in one day on Tuesday. We did this last year. It seemed to work well. We'll see what happens. Right now, though, my plan is to do the In the Spotlight Football Blitz on Tuesday afternoon. Of course, we're doing one this Friday, but after that, we'll do the next one next Tuesday. I would assume 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll let you know officially on Thursday what that time will be. I could push it a little earlier because we're doing two shows on Friday. Maybe I want to space it out a little bit. We'll see. But right now, it's scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, we'll do our regular Tuesday night primetime show Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So that'll be the only two shows we do next week because of the holidays. So please do keep that in mind. So right now, two shows next Tuesday here for us. And then the following week, we'll be back to normal. So that's a little Tuesday sports and entertainment because we have to fit everything in because that'll be the only show we do. And obviously, football blitz will be in the afternoon. So that's what's coming up next week. And the week after, we'll be back on track. We'll do on Tuesday, we'll do the following week, we'll do our normal sports show, and then we'll do entertainment on Thursday. You know, the usual deal. That will be the format for for the week after next. So real insight into what's coming up over the next couple weeks as we go along here. Also, I've been told to tell you all, I have not, because obviously people have been asking me, because I dropped the bombshell, I think about a month ago. I said that Jeff Tech would be coming back. I just still don't know a date on that, because he's kind of in and out of communication. But, wow. So I'm gonna guess the first week of January, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully he'll update me soon, and I can answer that question, because that's been a question that I've been getting pretty much nonstop since I dropped that little bombshell. So I'll make sure that we get an answer on that soon, and can get back on that. Get back to you all on that. I do not know if my co-host is on. I can see his icon. I do not see him. That's kind of creepy. It's like he's stalking, but he's not really stalking because you can't see him. Well, actually, that is stalking, right? Is that stalking? Thank you. Justin's here, just walking behind me and randomly answering questions. Shouldn't do that. That's not very good podcasting, but okay. Whatever. Anyway, I do not know. Oh, it looks like he's on. His icon's on. It just looks like he doesn't want to be on screen. Oh, the icon's off. Okay, so he's not here. So we will wait. And wait and see what's going on with him. And as he does that, I will start posting the social media links. So when we get started, we can just keep going. Here. You're going to hear an echo. Just be aware of that. Okay. Okay. I do not. Oh, it looks like he has appeared. Are you on, Mike?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
I've been here for like 3 minutes and you won't stop talking.
Okay.
Also, this is a Santa Claus brownie.
Ooh.
I'm going to eat. But it's out. The Christmas stuff.
Hasn't it been out?
And it is delicious. Good, now you can talk again. I just wanted to make my reference. Gosh.
Oh my God.
Why you gotta be a dick like that? Why you gotta be a dick?
Because you're not. Because you're not.
I was gonna mute me undoing this wrapper, but now I'm not. You can hear me eat this delicious Santa brownie. Full glory.
Okay. All right.
And you know what? Saint Nick here, Santa Claus is judging you, balding boy. He's
really
judging you, and you're gonna have more grays because that is what you don't want. You're not gonna get coal. I guess you can get coal, but it's because he is judging you.
Of course.
Now I'm gonna eat it.
Of course, as you should, because it seems like.
Talk about it. This brownie is so good.
This is product placement at its best, folks. It's product placement at its best.
Little Debbie.
Yummy?
So good.
I bet.
Delicious. This is what you get for talking. Interrupting.
I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, you were.
Sure.
So good.
Wow. Really, right now? That post? Okay.
Talk about whatever stuff you're going to talk about.
Well, no, I'm trying to post the social media links because for some reason they weren't going through. which is funny. And I was stalling because you had jumped on and then you jumped off, and then it was one of those kind of deals. So
that's ironic because I'm putting you in your place. It would have been better if I had to. I was putting you in your place.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right.
Let
us
move on.
Let us move on. Yes. All right. Okay. That's posted. No, I didn't miss it. I'm just distracted. I'm trying to get two things done at once. Okay. We are ready to go now. All right. So, again, as we're going to do a couple sports things, mostly college basketball. This will not be our college basketball preview. We will do that in 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. We'll do that 2 weeks from tonight. We'll wait for that. Again, it makes sense to do it after you get a few weeks of seeing these teams. You know, a lot of them are playing really top competition, and watching them play these games, we'll have a better idea of what's going on once we get closer. So do a little college basketball, a couple of baseball things going around, NBA things. Then we'll leave it at that, and then jump into entertainment. And that's really all we're going to do.
Let's give you a little taste of the basketball preview. Ooh, sucks.
Yeah. Mike got a nice.
Tune in 2 weeks to find out why. Ooh, sucks.
Got a nice little preview of BYU last night, right? Not good. So we'll do a little college basketball. We'll just talk about some of the things that have happened so far. We'll do a little NBA, a little MLB, and then we'll jump into entertainment, box office, VTV highlights, real entertainment news stuff, and then we'll move on, and then that'll be it for tonight. And then Thursday will be our wrestling show. Again, previewing Survivor Series, and that's the way this week will look. And then Football Blitz on Friday. So that's the way this week will look. Let's jump right on to it. Tonight we have some really big games in college basketball. As part of the college basketball tip-off marathon, you have the Champions Classic going on tonight. Game 1 has finished up, and it wasn't much of a game as Kentucky dismantled Michigan State 69-48. That's number 2 Kentucky beating number 13 Michigan State. Just not even close. But then again, Michigan State is one of those teams that's going to take a while. If you've watched them in their 2 games so far, they lost to Arizona, but that was a close game. They lost on a last-minute shot, which was a great game. Those games on Friday night were just great games. That Arizona, Michigan State, and then Kansas, and it were fantastic basketball games for being the first games of the season for these 2 teams. It was amazing basketball games, just well played and just good games. And then you have tonight, like I said, Kentucky beating Michigan State. Again, Michigan State's going to need some time. When you get to March 1st, and Mike will agree with that, you know, it's an Izzo team. Sometimes they play top competition. They're going to lose a couple games. We're going to look at them in March and be like, nobody wants to see them. But then they'll either be really, really good in March and get to the Final Four, or they'll disappoint you in your bracket and get out in the Sweet 16.
No, all right. Yeah, all right, Michigan State will disappoint us in the bracket and be out in the second round as usual at times. So the thing with Michigan State is you don't know what team you're going to get, but you know that team national championship. Last year was the time I bought into them for the last time.
Yeah.
Times of Michigan State. So if you're like me, sure they'll get better once they hit the Big Ten, but once they get back into general play, I don't think they got it anymore.
I will say this about Kentucky. You know, they're going to be one of those. I'm going to be honest. They remind me. They do have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent, but I'm going to be honest with you. To me, they look like one of those classic Kentucky teams that are going to be more defense than offense. If you watch the way they played tonight, their defense was phenomenal. Like, they were fantastic. They covered them. I mean, they completely dismantled Michigan State. They could not get anything going in this game. There was this good defensive effort. Calipari has to be really happy with the defensive effort. Offensively, it was good. I mean, but again, it's early. So, you know, I think if you're Calipari, you're very happy. Defense is going to win them more games than offense is. So you have to be happy with it. You really do. You held a team under 50 points. That's pretty good.
Now, however, Michigan State was ranked early, but they're really just not.
Yeah, they're gonna
won't be there.
Yeah.
Now, Michigan State will improve once they see competition they see all year.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
That being said, Kentucky don't buy in yet.
Mm.
They play someone really good. Saying this because fuck Michigan State at the moment.
Yeah.
Wait till they play someone really good. Then you're going to see a real litmus test.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the problems tonight are because Michigan State couldn't score.
True. That's
Save
true.
their lives.
That's true.
Here's the thing. Scored under 60 points. That's giving them an extra 20. Had Kentucky just stood there like, no, don't go to the basket. No. No way. You're doing so great right now. Yeah. Move this on. So let's not buy into it just yet.
Well, you can't really.
But
yeah.
Kentucky is going to be good again.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Kentucky is going to be good again. How good remains to be seen.
Right.
State needs to find a basket first. Because I'm pretty sure BYU could have beaten Michigan State. Who sucks.
And to your point about waiting, because remember, it is early. Now, there are some teams you're going to watch this, maybe you've already watched them, or you're gonna watch over the next week or two, and you're gonna be like, you know what, they're that good. They're gonna be good all year. Kind of have an idea of how good they are. But even the good teams that you're gonna see over this next couple weeks can get even better come February and March. You got young players. You blend them in with the old. You look at it. Duke right now is 2-0. They haven't played anybody. They got some injuries. They're going to play Kansas tonight. They're going to get a good test tonight from Kansas because Kansas could have easily won that game against Indiana. Indiana was great. I like Indiana a lot. I don't know how much I buy into them because Kansas, Mike, you will probably agree with this, Kansas always is, again, one of those second-half teams. They seem to fully come into their own late in the season. So what you see from Kansas right now and what you're going to see tonight in their game against Duke is no way, shape, or form going to be the kind of team that you see in March. That's just the way it is. It's a Bill Self team. I have no doubt that Duke's going to be really good once they get everybody on the floor and healthy. They're not going to rush everybody back. But right now, you're going to see a Duke team that's not at full capability. And, again, that's an example of how things are going to be different in a couple months. A couple of other big games tonight. You have Wisconsin and Creighton playing, both teams ranked. Creighton's leading by 3 at the half. Wisconsin's a team that a lot of people like this year. I don't know if I like them enough to be in the top 10 right out of the gate, but they like them. You had a big upset earlier today as Baylor beat number 4 Oregon 66-49. Again, it's early. You don't know. And we've talked about this on the show before. You look at these top 25 rankings. Sure, you look at most of them and you're like, okay, pretty much all these teams deserve to be ranked. But then you look at the top 10. You usually point out at least 5 teams that don't belong in the top 10, at least.
And on top of that, why are we buying into a Pac-12 team this early, even though it's Oregon?
Yeah. At
least it's not Arizona.
I mean, Arizona's 10 right now, and they're going to stay at that point because they beat Michigan State, which, again, we talked about. But, again, these are two teams.
That's not a shocker.
Look, Oregon's going to drop out. All right, Arizona's got a tough schedule. They're going to probably drop out soon. Neither one of those two teams should be in the top 10. I buy into Kansas in the top 10. I think Kansas is going to be good. I think that's fine. I don't have an issue with Duke. I think Virginia is in the wrong spot. I mean, they're not playing anybody. They never play anybody in that conference. So that's not really surprising. I don't like Virginia. I think it's a rebuilding year. I think North Carolina's a little inflated. I think Kentucky's okay in the top 10. I think Duke's okay in the top 10. And Kansas is okay in the top 10. Villanova's definitely okay in the top 10. In fact, top 5, that's fine with me. Because they bring back some guys. You know what you're going to get with a number of their guys, so I don't think there's a problem there. I think Syracuse, and I'm not even doing this as a biased pick, I think Syracuse is horribly underranked. I really do. I'm not saying it should be top 10, but I think ranking them early on as 19 and now 18 is kind of disrespectful because, again, they bring back some players, and I just don't see how they get an 18 ranking, and then teams like Oregon and Arizona are in the top 10 when they really haven't shown anything yet. So, hey. So, again, there's been some big games. Yesterday, Mike will tell you, there was a great game with Villanova and Purdue, which Villanova narrowly won by 3. And even though I think Purdue might be a smidge overrated, it's still a big win. It's still a good game. Good win for them. So I would say that, right. I would say half the top 10 belongs in there. Half the top 10 probably doesn't. We got Duke, Kansas coming up tonight. Second game coming up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think I covered all the. I think that's the. UConn's had a rough week. They've lost 2 games in a row to start the season. Who knows where we're going with that? What is UConn that bad, or is it just a slow start? We'll find out over the next month or so, as they see if they can recover from this. There's really, once you get past tonight, there's not a huge amount of games until you start to hit the weekend, where you start getting into some of these holiday tournaments, and then things start to pick up again. And then next week and the week after, you have some pretty good games to watch and going forward. And we'll see. We'll get a nice little gauge of some of these teams as they build into December and going on. As I'm looking at, I'm trying to look over the next week and see if there's anything that strikes me as something outside of tonight, which has a lot of big games, as something that's going to be worth checking out. And there's not a whole lot. If you like Florida Gulf Coast, you might be interested in playing Michigan State on Sunday in the battle for Atlantis. That's might be kind of interesting given their history. You might be interested in checking them out. I don't know how good or bad they are. I haven't really followed Florida Gulf Coast. Maui has Oregon, Georgetown on Monday. That might be interesting. Oklahoma State, Connecticut might be worth a look. Mike, I know Mike's probably interested in North Carolina, Chaminade.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Farmer.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm looking over this next week. That leads us into next Tuesday, so I'm not going to go any further than that. Yeah, that's really all there is after tonight. So tonight's like the pinnacle of the first couple weeks of college basketball. We had them 2 great games Friday, and then you have a couple great games today, and the Villanova Purdue game last night. If I'm being honest right now, we'll talk more about this on the preview show in a couple weeks. I think the top 2 teams in the country are Villanova and Duke. You could go 1, 2, however you want to go with that, but I think those are the top 2 teams. And I'm going with Duke at full strength. I don't think Duke's number 1 team right now. I think Villanova should be. When Duke gets everybody on the floor, it just depends on how you look at it. But I think those are the 2 top teams. Everybody else has something to prove. Duke has got. See, I value this on not only the talent they brought in, but that they have a lot of they have the most talent. Those 2 teams have the most talent coming back. So you have some idea of what you're getting, as opposed to some of these teams have a lot of new and you don't really know what you're looking at. So that's just my thing. That's really all I can say. Again, we got Duke, Kansas tonight. We'll see how that goes. I'll update you throughout the night when we're on the air on that. Mike, do you have anything else to add on what you've seen over the first couple of days here?
By BYU.
I know you are.
the way they played basketball last night, abhorrent. Yes, you're right. Duke is not a number 1 team. They're going to get that because they're Duke. Mm-hmm. They're always going to get it because they're Duke. I would give a visual representation of what rankers, the coaches, and the writers do whenever they hear Duke's name. I will not do that. Working the shaft and fondling the balls. that is the image and rankings. Duke is the one with the shaft and the balls. Just so we're clear of this metaphor. It's a blowjob metaphor.
I know.
All right, just in case there was confusion there.
Sure.
So, because you never know, people might be confused when they hear shaft and balls. They might be like, "Oh, Samuel L. Jackson's here." With that being said, Duke is highly overrated right now. They're not going to be at full strength later on because these players who are injured actually need to come back and play some games to get integrated into the team chemistry before anything happens. Number one, but they're Duke, so mouths open, prepare the position. But even now, Villanova's not even the number one team. Not number one. They're not even close to being ranked number one because Kentucky is always there. Again, Kentucky, Michigan State tonight. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was closer in the first half. Kentucky's defense shined through. Literally didn't have to do too much, though, because Michigan State couldn't buy a basket at times. All they needed to do is stand there with the hands up and like, no, don't do it. No, don't score the basket, Michigan State. No. And nothing would have happened. Because Michigan State at this point is overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State will get better once they hit conference and they see teams they play. This year, don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into the hype until they prove you're wrong and they prove me wrong. They're just not there. Although you could buy into Kansas. Kansas is usually going to be competitive. North Carolina will be competitive. I agree with you on Syracuse. Yes, we are horribly biased. But Syracuse is really good. They have a very active zone. They've got scoring from guys on multiple fronts. And Roberson's back and can rebound. Roberson's a better rebounder than he was last year. So Syracuse has got a lot of weapons this year. So they are a very, very dangerous team. So watch Syracuse this year. Villanova is going to be very, very good. They're going to miss Archie Diacono, but man, Chris Jenkins can shoot that three, can't he? Watch for Villanova this year. Xavier this year. And I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to preview this now. About it later.
Mm-hmm.
But you said it last night, and I agree with you. I think you said it last night anyway. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention all that much. Island.
Yeah.
Rhode Island. You look at it like, why the hell are they number 20? Because they're hella good. That's why they're number 20.
They are good.
We'll talk about that more later. Watch Rhode Island. They ain't no joke. Also Xavier, but
well, I think that one's a little more known. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all right. So that's all we're gonna do with college basketball. Yeah, we'll do a little bit next week, but we'll do our preview show 2 weeks from tonight. So we'll get more into reviewing all these teams and stuff around that time. All right. We're going to do a little NBA right now. We're going to do only one story for the NBA because this has been a big story today. We're not going to do like last week. We kind of did we looked at how the standings were so far and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that here tonight. We're going to focus on a story that's got a lot of people talking, and that is Phil Jackson's comments related to LeBron James. And it's caused Anthony to respond. I'm going to quote an article that's on ESPN.com. You can find this anywhere. Again, it's on every major site. And I'm going to quote this because it needs to be mentioned. Here's what the article says. LeBron James says he has lost all respect for Phil Jackson after the New York Knicks president characterized James's business associates as a, quote, posse in a recent interview with ESPN. When this is what LeBron had to say on Tuesday. Zero, he said, when asked if he had any previous ties to Jackson. And this is a quote from him. No relationship at all. I had nothing but respect for him as a coach for what he was able to do. Obviously, he was at the helm of the team featuring my favorite player of all time, Michael Jordan, and also being there growing up and watching him with the Lakers, but I got nothing for him. Jackson, in an interview with ESPN's Jackie McMullen published this week, made the statement while revisiting James's departure from the Miami Heat to the Cavs in the summer of 2014 and what it meant for the tenure of Heat president Pat Riley. Here's the Jackson quote. It had to hurt when they lost LeBron. That was definitely a slap in the face, but there were a lot of little things that came out of that. When LeBron was playing with the Heat, they went to Cleveland, and he wanted to spend the night. They don't do overnights. Teams just don't. So now Coach Eric Spoelstra has to text Riley and say, what do I do in this situation? And Pat, who has iron fist rules, answers, you're on the plane. You are with this team. You can't hold up the whole team because you and your mom and your posse want to spend an extra night in Cleveland. I always thought Pat had this really nice vibe with his guys, but something happened there where it broke down. I do know LeBron likes special treatment. He needs things his way, end quote. James's business associate, Maverick Carter, took issue with Jackson's statement, telling ESPN on Monday that he felt compelled to respond, citing the recent debate around co-English. It's the word posse and the characterization I take offense to, Carter said. If he would have said LeBron and his agent, LeBron and his business partners, or LeBron and his friends, that's one thing. Yet because you're young and black, he can use that word. We're grown men. That's the end of his quote. LeBron went into further detail on Tuesday, saying, I've been in the league for 14 years, and from the beginning, 2 years in, I felt like I wanted to put my guys in positions of power, give those guys an opportunity to better themselves. You know, in the beginning, we were highly criticized, and I was highly criticized about what I wanted to do to help some guys around me become very successful in business. It just sucks that now at this point, having one of the biggest businesses you can have both on and off the floor, having a certified agent in Rich Paul, having a certified business partner in Maverick Carter that's done so many great business deals, that's the title for young African Americans is the word posse. They go on and on. There's a lot more quotes here. Carmelo Anthony, who is one of LeBron's closest friends, addressed the issue Tuesday, saying, I know James, and I don't think he would just say something to be saying it. Whatever was said, I'm pretty sure it hit home, and he responded to it. I don't know exactly what was said. Anthony said he doesn't think Jackson meant to use the word posse in a racial connotation, but he also didn't want to speak on Jackson's behalf. He hopes that it wasn't meant to be some kind of horrible, wasn't supposed to be meant in that way is what he's hoping for. So this has struck a lot of people in different ways. Obviously, there's some that think he didn't mean anything by it. It's just, the way it just, he didn't mean anything racial by it. And then there's people that think he did. So it's causing a big stir. I think there's two things in here. Obviously, there's the way that word can offend some, and I can understand why. I can. I don't think that's the way he meant it, but I can understand maybe he could have used something a little different than that. But again, I don't think he meant to be disrespectful and use it in a racial connotation. So there's that. And then there's the other part of this, which is bringing up some focus on special treatment regarding LeBron James, to which I reply, no duh. Like we didn't expect that he did these kind of things. And let's be honest here for a second. LeBron's probably not the only person in the league that asked for special treatment and held things up for teams. He's far from it. I'm sure other players around the league have done this over the years. This is probably not the only time this is not the only player in the league that does this kind of stuff. So, again, something in my mind that Phil probably should have avoided was mentioning that and acting like it's some unique situation that Miami was going through or Cleveland or anybody was going through, because we know it's not even just an NBA thing. It happens in all sports. The elite players, those players on that elite level, they get special treatment, or at the very least they ask for it and hope that they get it. This is not some unique thing to LeBron James. Do I think it's right to hold up your team and bog it down in this stuff? No, it's not. You shouldn't get that kind of special treatment. You shouldn't hold up the team, and you shouldn't be the only person getting that. No. But I don't think we should be acting, and this why I take some issue with Phil here. I don't think we should be acting like it's so unique to LeBron James that he has that he treats the people around him the way he does, and that he does the things he does. It's not just LeBron James that does this. Whether it's right or wrong, acting like he's the only player in the league that does this and the only player in sports that does something like this is ridiculous. And the way he made these comments, at least from what I've been reading and what I've seen today, almost indicates to me that he is acting like LeBron is the only person that asks for or receives this kind of treatment, which is not right. So I will say that I do not think Phil meant to say this term in a racial manner. I don't think he meant it in terms of racial connotations. But on the other hand, I think his other comments are really just flat out ridiculous. I actually think the whole thing's ridiculous, but to act like LeBron James the only player that gets this kind of treatment is ridiculous. Mike, what say you?
The fact that we have to cover this story is stupid as shit. Okay. LeBron James had respect for Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson said, oh, well, he has a posse and special treatment. Spoiler alert. LeBron James got special treatment. Hey, do you know who else got special treatment? Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Gary Payton. Pick a star. What had even fucking Nick Young gets that treatment. Ray Lewis had a posse. Baltimore doesn't like to think about that still, but he had a posse. They were armed. Mm-hmm. James, he had his boyfriends all over him. This is not a story. This is a waste of time. James got butthurt over Phil Jackson's comments because he thought LeBron James got special treatment in Miami, which he did. But he used a term that is slightly outdated or mischaracterized. Yourself. This is, like, if you want to talk about a fucking NBA story, they're going to have a new CBA coming up in December. New CBA. This is important because, A, there's going to be a shortened preseason, which everybody is celebrating, and B, this is a great fuck you to the NFL, is a more detailed domestic violence policy to the current NBA drug policy. So there's going to be stricter punishments for domestic violence, which is something the NFL needs to get on, which is an actual important story. And they have to adjust to the drug thing because apparently it's legal in Canada. So they have to work on it. And the fact they've got a new CBA coming soon is important. Important for the league, and it means it won't be locked out again. There's a really friggin' good commissioner. But no, this isn't your fault, Brian, but this is the sports world. We got to talk about LeBron James being butthurt. Jackson, not knowing what words to use. If he had used the words boyfriends, would it have been mad, or is that an outdated term too? If he had used the term bros, would we have gotten the same reaction? If he had used the reaction squad, have hipster points? Do you see how stupid this is?
I don't disagree.
I wanted to give you guys, and I'm sure Brian agrees with me, some actual NBA news.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't your fault. I don't blame you. I blame the fact that we have to cover this bullshit. So, in short, yes, LeBron James's butt hurt. His butt is actually hurt. And yes, Phil Jackson was an idiot for using a word like posse to describe special treatment that all get. And yes, media is stupid sometimes. There we go.
All right. So that's the only NBA story we're going to talk about. Couple little MLB.
We talked about 2 NBA stories.
Yes. A couple little MLB, stories. Okay, let me get that plural.
Excuse me. We talked about an actual story and somebody being butthurt.
All right. Couple of MLB tidbits to get to. Managers of the Year were named today. Dave Roberts was the NL Manager of the Year for the Dodgers. Terry Francona was the AL Manager of the Year for the Indians. Kind of shocking, but I mean, again, I always like when they don't go with necessarily the front runner. Like everybody would assume Joe Madden would get it, but it was easy for Joe Madden. Look at that team. So Dave Roberts had a little bit of a harder time, a lot of injuries. So I like that move on the part of the NL. Terry Francona winning.
I just wanted to voice my support in choosing the Dodgers manager over Joe Madden, because as you know, Joe Madden did everything he could to lose the World Series.
That's very true.
He did everything he could to lose the World Series. They won despite their manager.
Yes.
That Cubs team was outstanding. Chicago Cubs and fans, you have a lot to be proud of. Your manager, on the other hand,
Yeah. I honestly thought, my choice would have been either Dave Roberts or Terry Collins of the Mets. That was the two choices.
The Mets are also a team that previously sucked to becoming the best team in New York.
Oh, yeah, you had to get that in, didn't you?
I wasn't planning on it because I didn't even know he was up. But Mets, you brought this upon yourself.
Let me just be fair. I mean, the Mets were pretty much done in August, and they went on a run and they got themselves in. I think Terry Collins was deserving. You could have won with either one. I would have been fine with it, but I think Dave Roberts is a good choice. Francona is an easy choice because here's the thing. All right, the Indians. Nobody expected anything from the Indians this year, maybe except for a wild card. And they really were the best team in the American League all season long. They had massive injuries, which is why they fell off late. And even with those injuries, they still got to the World Series and almost won the World Series. So I think Francona winning his second, I like that. I think that's fine. I'm not even saying this as a Yankee fan because a lot of people think that this was wrong. Joe Girardi coming in 5th is a travesty. I'm not saying he should have won. I'm saying that he should at least come in 2nd or 3rd. For that team to even be in contention in September was a miracle. So I quibble with that, but again, I don't quibble with who won these. You had also yesterday the Rookies of the Year were named. Corey Seager of the Dodgers was the NL Rookie of the Year, and Michael Fulmer of the Tigers was AL Rookie of the Year. I don't have any issue with either one. A lot of people try to vouch for Yankees' Gary Sanchez for AL. He only played 2 months, and even though it was an incredible 2 months, you do have to value the entire season. Fulmer pitched the entire season. I don't have an issue with it. I was pleased with it. I don't have an issue. I think both those selections are fine. So just stating my opinion on these, I think for the most part, I think all 4 were good choices. The Manager of the Year choices and the Rookie of the Year choices, I think were really, really good. No issues on my part. So, and that's all. That's really all. That's really all. That's really all from baseball we got to talk about. I mean, obviously, there's still rumors. We talked a lot about those last week, but nothing really concrete. And I don't want to go into rumors and everything. We'll wait until the hot stove will start picking up next week. Once that happens, we'll start talking more about players and where they could go and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to talk about some of these award selections because that's the stuff that's really been the big topics in baseball the last couple of days. So, all right. That's sports. That's it. We covered baseball. We covered a little basketball, college and pros. Right now, Duke is up 15-10 on Kansas with 12:23 left in the first. Wisconsin's up 48-46 on Creighton with 10 minutes left in the second. So we'll keep you updated on both those games. Those are the bigger games going on right now. As far as the top 25 goes right now, we'll keep you updated on those while we're on the air. From sports, we're gonna go to entertainment. We're gonna jump into the box office, which we knew would be probably another week to give to Doctor Strange. However, I would say that I don't think any of us expected it to be this good of a week for not only Doctor Strange, but for the box office in general. Because when you looked at this, you saw 3 new releases, none of which were expected to do great. One of them was expected to not even break 5 million, which it didn't. And the other 2 were maybe $15, $20 million movies, and they hit those, maybe even did a little better than you would have expected. The surprise was that the holdovers from last week, the big ones, Doctor Strange, Trolls, Hacksaw Ridge, all held up much better than expected. Doctor Strange, which many people thought would be around 30 million, held itself up at $42.9 million. Huge, only dropping 49.5% in the second week, which is a great number for that movie. Great number. A lot of people thought this might be one of those movies that skews better overseas. It's not. But even though it's done much better overseas, also had a week lead time. It's already up to 496.6 million worldwide. It will cross the it probably already did cross the $500 million mark, $500 million mark today, because these numbers are reflected to yesterday. It's going to hit that $700 million plateau fairly easily. So anything else is going to be gravy for Marvel, because I think that what they were looking at was 700 million. It's going to do that easily. Especially with the holiday boost it's going to get from Thanksgiving and such. So very good for Doctor Strange, well over what you'd expect. And shockingly, Trolls did much better than expected. I think most people were thinking if that movie did 18, 19 million in its second week, they would have been happy, and that might have been stretching it. Trolls only dropped 24.9% in its second week. Keep in mind, this is it during a period where school is still in session. Now, yes, Veterans Day was Friday. That probably helped. Okay, that did help probably. I won't lie. But still, for it to pull 34.9 million in second, it basically didn't drop at all from its second week. I mean, for its first week, it didn't drop at all. So that's a great total for that movie. Great total. Coming in third was new release Arrival, 24 million. That movie could have went either way. We talked about it. I think the hope and the prediction was around 20 million. The hope was it would do that. It was getting a lot of buzz, but nobody knew if it would actually pull it in. Well, it's up to 36.7 million worldwide so far, so it's going to hit its budget. It's only 10 million off that now. It had some buzz, had a little bit of momentum, and it clearly helped it reach that goal. Maybe did a little bit even better than its goal. So, I think generally everybody involved needs to be happy with that. That's a success. Almost Christmas came in fourth, pulling in 15.1 million. It's a $17 million budget. I think you're happy with that. It almost made its budget back. It'll no doubt do that over the course of this week. I think you got to be happy with that. Again, anywhere from, I would say, 13 to maybe 20 million, they would have been happy with. So they hit right in there. So generally, I think that was a good number. Maybe even a little better than they might have expected going into the weekend. Coming in third, dropping from fifth, was coming in fifth, dropping from third, I should say, was Hacksaw Ridge. Another one of those holdovers that surprised people, only dropping 30% and coming in with 10.6 million. Again, it made 15 million last weekend, barely dropped off its total. That's very good for a movie that, is probably skewing older. It's more for the awards crowd. So it's already made 33 million. It's done very, very well in a very competitive time. So that's very solid. Now, granted, nothing else made over 5 million. The Accountant pulled in 4.4 million, and Shut-In, which was the other new release this weekend, which again, not much was expected of it, pulled in 3.6 million. That might have been even a little bit more than expected. So, but all in all, yeah, you only had 5 movies over 5 million, but they all were over 10 million. They all, in some ways, overperformed, some by a lot. So you combine this weekend with last weekend. I think if you're Hollywood, you're ecstatic about this. Very, very, very good numbers. And maybe, again, Veterans Day being on the weekend, being on Friday, I should say, probably helped. You know, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. It's still a very good weekend. And the box office needed I would say, a great start to the holiday movie season after having such a sluggish kind of October and September, which it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. So to overperform in a lot of ways these last 2 weeks, and it kind of did overall, to have things be much better than even they anticipated is good. It kind of makes up for that. So this weekend, we're a week out from Thanksgiving. You got some huge movies coming out, and remember, next week, a short week, some movies coming out on Wednesday. So you really get the holiday movie season going now as you head into this week here. It's always a big weekend here, as you usually get a big tentpole film being released this weekend, and that is very much the truth here, as you do have a tentpole film coming out in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which will be released this coming Friday, a fantasy film from Warner Bros. Opening over 4,000 theaters, clearly the biggest release of the bunch. Directed by David Yates, and this time written by J.K. Rowling. It's her first screenplay that she's written, so that should be interesting. Eddie Redmayne, Ezra Miller, Colin Farrell, Jon Voight, Ron Perlman, and Catherine Waterston all star in this $180 million budgeted film. Obviously, it's going to be seen. We know it's going to probably skew higher overseas. It's just like all the Harry Potter films. It'll do what the Harry Potter films do. Do better overseas. It might pull in maybe 60, 70, 80 million this weekend domestically, and that's going to be what it does. And it's going to be number one far and away, which is, again, not really a question. Outside of that, your next biggest release is a movie opening in a little over 1,900 theaters, and that's The Edge of 17, a comedy from STX Entertainment, R-rated comedy starring Woody Harrelson, Haley Steinfeld, and Kira Sedgwick. It's only a $9 million budget, which is smart given the competition. If it makes $5 million, it should consider itself lucky. I could see it doing what Shudder did last week and making around $3.5 million. I can't really see it doing much better. I mean, I don't even know if anybody knows this movie's coming out. So the third biggest release is a sports drama from Open Road Films called Bleed for This, opening in 1,549 theaters. It's R-rated. It's getting a lot of awards buzz. Budgeted at $6 million, starring Miles Teller, Aaron Eckhart, and Katie Seagal. Again, Miles is getting a lot of buzz. The movie's getting a lot of buzz. Not in a lot of theaters, though. It'll probably expand over the next few weeks. Again, kind of like Shudder last week, maybe around $3 million, $3.5 million. It'll probably compete with The Edge of 17 a little bit, probably be in that same range. I don't expect much else besides that. If it does better than that, that'd be a surprise. So really this weekend belongs to Fantastic Beasts. That movie will probably pull in anywhere from 70, 80 million. Could go as low as 60, but that I don't know if I could see that happening. So 70, 80 million. And then you're probably looking at Doctor Strange around 20 million, the way it's been holding. Trolls around 15, 16, 17 million. Is what you're probably looking at there. And then probably I'd say probably Hacksaw Ridge right around 6, 7 million. Actually, I take that back. Arrival will probably be right around. Arrival will probably be beating Trolls. I think Arrival will probably be around. Let's say Doctor Strange around 20 million. Obviously, again, Fantastic Beasts 70, 80 million. Doctor Strange around 20 million. Arrival around maybe 13, 14 million. Trolls around 11, 12 million. Hacksaw Ridge around 7, 8 million. Then you'll probably have Almost Christmas around 5 million. And again, the other new releases will probably be around that $3.5, $4 million range. So you'll probably have, again, Edge of 17 and Bleed for This right around that range, $3.5, $4 million. They could be, one might be, you can reverse the order any way you want. One could be one could beat the other, and it could be vice versa. I'll just go out on a limb and say Bleed for This, $4 million, Edge of 17, $3.5 million. They'll be close, no doubt. So it should be a fairly decent weekend. And then next week should be huge for the box office. So, Mike, do you have anything to add?
No,
You're good?
I was watching The Undertaker.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah. I already read about that.
It's The Undertaker, dude. It's The Undertaker.
It was interesting.
Also, The Miz.
Yeah.
The Miz.
It's a great night for him.
I imagine talking about this on Thursday.
Yes.
All right.
Interesting what happened tonight.
Sure thing.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, we got the box office beat. Now we're going to jump to the TV highlights of the week. Mike, what are your TV highlights of the week?
You sure you don't want to get your 2 shows out of the way?
No. Go ahead.
All right.
All right.
Because you always take up less time than I do.
I do. It's okay. I need a break. My throat's sore.
All right. I'll let that one go.
I'm sure you will.
Let's see. TV highlights of the week. Last week's Arrow was pretty good. Oliver still hasn't learned anything about secret keeping, clearly, 4 seasons in. But not bad. Not bad at all. Still staying away from the illicity stuff. Oh, good fucking call. Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow has been pretty good. The new character Nate is still kind of learning how to not fuck up. Like 3 episodes in with him, and he's got his powers, and already he's got like 2 potential love interests. Let that one go. Let that one go, guys. I will say this though: Dominic Purcell and what's her face, Sarah Lance's actress. All right, Mick Rory, Sarah Lance, and Ray Palmer are and the Firestorm guys are fire. That's not a pun. It makes me wonder when we're going to get Rip Hunter back. Because look, you see him in the promos for everything. We're just kind of waiting for Rip Hunter to come back. So Arthur Davrill, you're needed. But Legends of Tomorrow continues to be pretty good. Conviction. This week, Conviction. It was okay. Still with a lot of the romance stuff. But when it came to the case, it was pretty powerful stuff. So it's passable this week. Last week's Designated Survivor. It deepens. It's still interesting. I'm giving that a recommend now. I recommend Designated Survivor. Lucifer. Lucifer's really got interesting. We got new dynamics this week with Lucifer and the new new crime the forensic lady.
Mm-hmm.
It really kind of a relationship to highlight the episode. It was really interesting, made for a cool dynamic. Lucifer this week, always on fire, always brings it. I highly recommend the show. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency on BBC America. It's a quirky Douglas Adams detective show, and it's great. And I don't know why you're not watching it. I highly recommend the continued watching of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. It's a really fantastic show. It's out there, but it's worth your time. It's worth your energy. It's worth your patience. Highly recommend it. I'm almost caught up on Bull. Bull's a good show. Michael Weatherly does a great job. It's kind of like Conviction, only way different. But it's got a similar kind of premise. But it's procedural. Bull's good. Watch it. Time worth your energy. Going to close on Lethal Weapon and Speechless. Speechless, hilarious again. I don't know what you guys need to watch. Speechless, man. Speechless is a fantastic comedy. Fantastic comedy. Came back with vengeance last week. Great episode. Great stuff. I'm waiting for the characters to mature a little bit, evolve a little bit. But it was good. Great episode. There's a lot of good TV out there. Good TV out there right now. South Park, it was okay. It wasn't great.
Yeah, it wasn't great. No.
It wasn't a great episode. I can't recommend that episode, although if you're going to keep with the narrative, you got to watch it this week. But it had a very funny highlight moment. One, the only, the great Rick Astley. He's never going to give you up. That was a highlighted moment from a not so great episode. This is kind of like a shitty episode of South Park this week. So recap real quickly. Arrow was good. Arrow was really good. Still staying away from Felicity. Tomorrow was pretty good. Designated Survivor was pretty good. Lucifer's highly recommended this week. Park, YouTube. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. You should be watching. What else? Bull was all right. Bull's been pretty good. You should watch Bull. And the other things I said. Because right now I'm really tired and I don't remember everything I said and gone over.
You're good.
You're welcome.
Okay, first of all, you bring up these shows and I have to watch them because they all sound good. I just haven't had time to watch them. I just haven't. So, which is bad on me, but I have to find time. And you know what? When a lot of these shows go on hiatuses, I'm going to start filling my queue with some of these, which they will be soon. A couple of them are already on hiatus, so it gives me time to watch some of these other ones. I only have one this week because my majority of my big shows are not on, and actually I have two. I have two. Two of them this week. Because I can't recommend South Park either because it was obvious that they rewrote it. Very, very, very obvious that they rewrote it this week. I'll give the Blacklist credit because again, I felt just like last week. I feel like they've had 8 episodes, and the last 2 weeks, including this past week's fall finale, were the only 2 weeks that I feel like anything happened of significance, other than when when Liz got her baby back. The only 2 weeks that anything remotely happened. And look, they seem like they addressed something that people have been waiting for since the beginning of the show. I won't spoil what it is because it's pretty big. If they did, then all power to them. It was a good episode. It was dramatic. It was intense. James Spader was fantastic. I'm hoping that this was it for the thing that they seem to resolve. Because if it's not, then I don't see where else they can go with it. I think it's like beating a dead horse at this point. They got to do something else. There's plenty of other things they can do with the mythology of the show without focusing on this one particular point. So I'm hoping that's the end of it. But it was a good episode, so I'll give him some credit. It was a great episode. I'm being vague because I don't want to spoil anything because people might not have seen it yet. Other than that, the only other thing this week that I think was worthy of highlight was The Walking Dead, which had a 90-minute episode Sunday, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. In fact, other than the premiere, which was obviously big, I think it would have been my favorite episode this season, to be honest. It was simple, but it was effective. There was a lot of plot movement, a lot of character interaction. It just makes any sense. It had a quiet tension to it, which I like. I like when shows do quiet tension. I don't like. It doesn't always have to be a big bang or that kind of thing. A big theatrical, overdramatic thing. It could be quiet too. And the whole 90 minutes had a quiet tension about them. And they also revealed something pretty big in the last half hour that's been it's been something that I don't think the show ever meant for it to be a big deal. But people ended up making it a big deal. And I can understand why, because it's something that it kind of irks you, like, okay, I kind of wish we knew this. I kind of wish we knew, you know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things where you're sitting around discussing the show and you kind of go, well, I wish that we knew about this, and I hope they answer it at some point. And they did, and I'm kind of shocked that they bothered to do it all these years later, but they did, and all power to them. It didn't have to be done, but they did it, and maybe, it'll make some people happy, I suppose. I mean, it's something that was fairly predictable. I think most people knew I think most people knew that that's the way it was, but I don't, it's still to hear it is I guess satisfying. So again, being vague, because I don't want to spoil anything. So those would be my two. Walking Dead and Blacklist, I thought had really good episodes, really solid plot movement, good episodes. So I'll leave it at that. I still have some stuff to catch up on, so, All right, so that's TV highlights. Now we're going to jump into some entertainment, a few little entertainment news stories that are out there in the universe that have both been submitted by you, the fans, and of course are some that we picked out that we thought are worth mentioning, and that's what we're going to close with here tonight. This is what I'm going to bring up because I think this is pretty. It shows you the power of this movie. Disney's Beauty and the Beast trailer has broken a ton of records since its premiere yesterday. It's surpassed 50 Shades of Grey and Star Wars: The Force Awakens as far as trailer viewings online over the last 2 days, and it now holds the record for viewings online of a trailer. So, Mike, you have to be proud of that as a Beauty and the Beast fan.
Yes. Sure.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. Very simple. Very simple. And you know what's funny? I predicted you'd be very, very quick about that, and I was right. So yeah. So that's. I mean, again, it's a good trailer. Very smart marketing, and it's not really a surprise. This is one of those movies when Disney started doing live action that people really wanted to see in live action. So I'm not really surprised by that. One of the big stories a number of you emailed us about was the announcement yesterday that the Inhumans were coming to TV. Marvel is bringing the Inhumans to TV, to ABC. It will premiere in IMAX theaters in September, the first 2 episodes, and then debut on ABC as a TV series. Right now, they've only scheduled 8 episodes. I don't know if nobody knows if there's going to be more. Nobody knows what the circumstances, but they've scheduled 8 episodes. The show will follow the royal family, Black Bolt and the royal family. And if you know that story, you know what they could potentially do with the show. What does this mean for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. seems to be the number one question on people's minds. A lot of people had suspected it was going to go to Netflix. I know people are like, okay, it's going to get canceled. I never thought it was going to be outright canceled. It might have been canceled by ABC or moved by ABC, but I didn't think it was ever going to be outright canceled. It does too good to be canceled. As far as how it gets, as far as streaming and such, I just thought it was moving to Netflix because it's giving you that vibe all season. With this though, I do not think it's going to be moved because the fact of the matter is that if they want to do this Inhumans show right, they really can't do more than 8 to maybe 10 episodes. Otherwise, it's going to be budget compromise. There's too much that you have to do with the show. So you really can't do more than that. So with that, you pretty much are giving it what Agent Carter had, which is that fill-in slot to fill out the season for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So whether they decide to start the season with and they could do this, start the season with Inhumans over the fall and debut Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in January to build up to Infinity War, which would be smart. You could do that. Or you could do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. splitting in half like you've done over the years and then sticking Inhumans in the middle, which I don't know how good that would do if you're going to have the first 2 episodes in September and then wait till January to air the rest. I don't know if that would work, but you have a number of options. I mean, I think it's a good idea. I know, apparently they decided the movie wasn't a good idea. this might work better as a show. We'll see. They could always go to a movie if they want to. I just hope that the shows are interconnected. So far, there's talk that they won't be interconnected, but to me, I don't see how you can do that when you've had the Inhumans running all over Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. over the last 2 years. So, now if I throw this to Mike, he's going to go crazy because he hates the Inhumans. So, I like how you got quiet. Mike, do you want to respond to the Inhumans news?
Sure. This is honestly one of those shows I don't care to watch. Yes, the Inhumans thing was great, and then they made it all about the Inhumans. And because they made it all about the Inhumans on the show, it had major consequences for the Inhumans and the comics. Now, there were no consequences for the Inhumans. They had a bigger spot comics after that. What it had consequences for was the mutants, was the X-Men. I am a wholehearted supporter of the X-Men. Grew up on X-Men resurrected. I will say this 100%. I think you'll agree with me. X-Men resurrected the superhero genre.
Oh, yeah.
And resurrected the genre. And at this point, Marvel does not know what to do with the X-Men. Marvel does not know how to treat the X-Men in general.
Right.
And fucking Inhumans, man. So the thing is this. Until this year, for like 2 seasons, had their own Olicity. And their Olicity came in the form of Inhumans led by Daisy. And even now, it's like, it's all Inhumans all the time. Because it's like, oh, well, Inhumans. But then there's Ghost Rider, and thank God there's Ghost Rider, because he makes that show much more tolerable. Because he's presented as a threat above the Inhumans. And he is. Ghost Rider actually is a threat above most Marvel Comics characters. When the show was about Phil Coulson, it was much better. And I feel like we're getting back to it. So, yeah. Inhumans, great. Don't care. I cannot stand them, and I can tell you right now, I probably won't be watching. Now, if they decide to have an actual X-Men show, well, okay, I'd be interested in that. Why don't you do something good and pair it with Gotham?
Well, they are doing an X-Men show at Fox. They're developing one.
No, they're developing the show about Xavier's son. I don't care about that. I want a goddamn X-Men show.
Oh, no, they are. Actually, Mike, they are developing one. They are, for real.
Okay.
I guess FX is the one that's got the Xavier's son show.
Yeah, that one seems stupid.
Fox is going to... Yeah, it does. Fox is actually developing an X-Men show now. So,
and you know what? I hope that X-Men show on Fox does better than the Inhuman show. It just kind of proves that there's still a lot of money on the table left with the mutants, and not just for mutants named Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Wolverine, I think, is still dead. Aren't they bringing him back?
Well, I would imagine.
I thought I saw a story recently that they're going to bring Wolverine back.
I think they kind of have to.
They don't have to, but...
It would be nice.
Because, well, it would be nice. I just kind of would like them to... Because I know they made X-23 the new Wolverine.
Right.
I just want them to kind of write Cyclops pretty well at this point, and Gambit, and the rest of the X-Men. Holy shit. The question is, I thought I heard them Wolverine.
It's probably
so
true.
That'd be kind of cool.
I will say this: if Fox does do an X-Men show again, I feel like the best way to remember how you remember, Mike. You watched the animated series in the 90s. Remember what was it? 12 episodes a season, I
Give or
think.
take.
I think that's what you're looking at because again, the budget is not going to be sustainable for 22 episodes to do it right. It really isn't. 10 to 12 episodes seems like a good, nice tight. You can do a nice tight storyline arc for like a season, a year. You know what I mean? It would work to do it that way. But hey, if they do it, I hope they do it right, and we'll see how it goes. On the other another Marvel story, and this is one that a lot of people have been really interested in today. We got some insight at a special screening Q&A for Deadpool this weekend. Writers Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese surprised fans when they spoke about a character trade between 20th Century Fox and Marvel Studios that took place last year. They revealed that when writing the character Negasonic Teenage Warhead in the film, they needed to get permission from Marvel since they radically altered her appearance and powers. Marvel was willing to accept the change on the condition that Fox would give them a character from their library, specifically Ego, the Living Planet, who will be played by Kurt Russell in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. James Gunn spoke to this on his Facebook page, and this was his quote. When I first pitched Ego as Quill's father, I thought that we owned the character. After I had worked out a very elaborate story with Ego, the Living Planet as a very important part of the Marvel Cosmic Universe, I learned that we actually didn't own the character. I had no backup plan, and it would be nearly impossible to just drop another character in. Thank God Fox came to us and wanted to make a trade. In other news, I guess Guardians of the Galaxy is doing reshoots today, but that's fairly common, so I wouldn't worry about that. Anyway, this is interesting to a lot of people for a number of reasons. One, obviously, the fact that it's involved two characters that are rather, in a way, obscure to a lot of fans in Ego and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. They're not obscure anymore, but they were. And two, because this makes people think that there's hope that Marvel and the people behind X-Men, meaning Fox, can work together in the future, kind of like Marvel is with Sony. So my response to this would be this. Yes, this is a good sign that they are doing this. This is more than Marvel and Sony ever did before they got together and started working together on Spider-Man. Hopefully this is a good sign that they can work together, and maybe if they do that, they can bring X-Men into the fold, and it could be less than humans and more mutants like we were just talking about. So hopefully this is a sign that they can work together at some point. Mike, did you know about this?
What?
Did you know about this whole character trade deal with Guardians and Fox?
I think I read something about it. Smart. They traded Ego for Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
And it worked. It seems like it's worked. It seems like it's worked out in both ways. Both accounts.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah.
Yeah, they both worked out, and again, hopefully it means something. I mean, I don't know if it does. Hopefully it does. All right, so one last thing, and then we're going to close out here. And this is a story that is a comic book about a comic book property, but it's not related to Marvel. There has been word from Deadline today that Paramount Pictures is eager to get in on the comic book franchise game, and have asked the Accountant and Warrior director Gavin O'Connor about developing a new Green Hornet movie. Obviously, the last time Green Hornet was on screen, it was with Seth Rogen in the starring role, and he was a big factor in bringing that to the screen. Over the years, there have been many, many, many big actors linked to a possible Green Hornet project, including George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, Christopher McQuarrie, Kevin Smith, and Jake Gyllenhaal. When asked about this, Gavin O'Connor said, and I quote, "I've been wanting to make this movie and create this franchise since I've wanted to make movies. As a kid, when most of my friends were into Superman and Batman, there was only one superhero who held my interest, the Green Hornet. I always thought he was the baddest badass because he had no superpowers. The Green Hornet was a human superhero, and he didn't wear a clown costume, and he was a criminal in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the criminal world. He'll develop the project alongside Sean O'Keefe. Apparently, they want to re-mythologize the Green Hornet in a contemporary context with an emphasis on story and character while incorporating themes that speak to the heart. So, all right, Mike, a new Green Hornet movie, another reboot.
Sure, sounds good. I liked the first one.
I would have liked to have seen a sequel to the first one. But I think the problem is it's been like 5 years, so.
It's been 5 years. It's probably too long, so yeah, they probably should reboot it. Yeah.
And for those that are, I've seen a lot of people mentioning today that, well, wasn't this property like seen as a bad property because in 2011, it didn't do very well domestically. It brought in $227 million at the global box office, despite how bad it did domestically. I don't think that means it's a bad property. I think that means that there's maybe some things that weren't well received. So maybe a reboot would help, depending on the way they go about it. So could work. My only point would be to keep the budget a little lower, maybe like in the range of Deadpool, and that might help it. And I think you could do that with this kind of movie because you don't need a whole lot of special. He doesn't have powers. You can get by with just stunts and some action stuff. You can get by with it. So. All right, so with that all being said, we've covered everything we have to cover. We will wind down. As always, the show might be over. It does not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to our show. Continue to have your voice heard. Send us your feedback, your questions about the show, scheduling of the show, topic ideas, or breaking news items you'd like us to cover. As long as they're related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling, we will cover them. You can send us your reactions, comments, or opinions on things we said on the show, things we talk about. Any of these things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Again, please use the hashtag if you could, hashtag itspotlight411. Or you can create your own hashtag as long as it starts with hashtag ITS. It'll be just fine. And also, please try not to be disrespectful or offensive. And when you're tweeting anything about our show, I mean, you can criticize us, sure. Just don't be disrespectful or insulting with anybody, any fellow fans or anything like that. Just enough of that going around. We do not need to contribute to it. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and make sure you like our page upon finding it. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially as it relates to scheduling. Obviously, there could be delays, postponements, cancellations anytime. Sometimes, again, we try to let you know in advance, but sometimes things happen. So you want to make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information so you have it and you know what's going on. Also, we post other things on our social media feed. So, you want to make sure you follow us to get the latest up-to-date information, along with other things as well. If you'd like to keep up with our show, you have a number of ways in which to do that. If you're more of a fan of streaming, maybe you like seeing us on screen for whatever reason, or you're just a fan of streaming in general, or maybe you're only interested in more recent episodes of our show. If any of that applies to you, you might want to check us out on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search In the Spotlight 411, and you'll have access to all of our episodes from mid-October of last year all the way up into tonight's episode. They are available to you anytime you wish. You can check them out and stream them anytime here on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. If you're more of a fan of audio podcasts, maybe you like to listen to us on the go. Maybe you prefer to listen to us, not necessarily see us. Or maybe you're interested in older episodes of our show in addition to more recent episodes of our show. If any of that applies to you, then you might want to search for us on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. To search for In the Spotlight 411 on Podbean and iTunes. And when you do that, you'll be taken to our main show page on both sites, and you'll have access to not only recent episodes, but every episode that we've done over the 6 years we've been doing the show. So everything from October 2010 all the way up into today's episode is available to you on both those sites in order from the most recent episode, which is tonight, to the oldest, way back in October 2010. So whether you missed an episode, missed a part of an episode, want to check out an episode again, maybe you're a longtime fan, wants to look back at an old episode you checked out a long time ago and want to check it out again. Maybe you're a new fan that wants to check out old episodes for the first time, or maybe just looking to keep up with episodes. Whatever the case, just want to listen to us on the go. Whatever the case, you can check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Again, search for In the Spotlight 411. So Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes. Always keep up with the show. and look back at classic episodes and all that good stuff. So make sure you do that. Search for In the Spotlight 411 on all 4 sites, and you'll be able to do all that and more, and keep up with our show and be all locked in and all caught up. And just make sure, if any that interests you, feel free to utilize those resources. Very, very helpful. Very, very helpful. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Wolverine's still dead. It's too bad. It's too bad.
It won't last. Never does.
It's almost 100 weeks now, though. It's crazy.
They've lasted longer than I thought. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Anyone thought, really.
Yeah. I want to thank myself for a great show, pat myself on my back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. She's laughing at me because I pat myself on the back. Thank you so much for watching. Those that'll be watching or listening later, thank you to you as well. Apparently, my wife did not know that I do the whole pat on my back thing, which I've been doing since like day 1 of the show. Pat myself on the back at the end of the show. Yeah, I started it from the beginning, although it was a couple weeks after we started. People like that. A couple of weeks ago, they freaked out when I didn't pat myself on the back at the end of the show. They had like a major conniption about it. It was funny. It was really funny. Yeah, she can laugh all she wants. It's true. I do. I get mail if I don't do it. It's really interesting. So to those who'll be watching or listening to this later, thank you to you as well. To all our fans, thank you so much. Patience, understanding, and everything that you do. We do appreciate it. That is it for tonight. Our next show, Thursday night, will be an all-wrestling show previewing WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view. Go over all the matches, make predictions, all that good stuff. We'll do questions and comments from the fans. At the end of the show, obviously, that will be time permitting. So, you can submit questions before the show or during the show by email, Facebook, and Twitter. Again, this will be Thursday night, 9 o'clock from Eastern Time, on Google Plus and YouTube. So if you're interested, make sure you tune in. And make sure you send in your questions and comments if you're interested in doing that. So again, we'll be previewing WWE Survivor Series, questions, comments, all that good stuff on Thursday. Friday, the In the Spotlight Football Blitz, currently scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that could change, but I'll let you know if it does on Thursday, obviously. And then next week, again, 2 shows, both currently scheduled for Tuesday. We'll do the In the Spotlight Football Blitz. Right now, it's scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, but that could change. And then, of course, our usual Tuesday night primetime show, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time next Tuesday. And that'll be all we do. But next week and the week after, we'll be back to our normal schedule, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that's what's coming up. So make sure you note all that. I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great Thursday. We'll see you back here for our next show, 9 o'clock from Eastern Time, broadcasting and streaming live on Google Plus and YouTube this coming Thursday, November the 17th, 9 o'clock from Eastern Time, here on Google Plus and YouTube. Until then, I hope you all have a great night, everybody. Talk to you on Thursday.